A German tank division in 1939 consisted of about 12,000 men. 3,000 of them were assigned to the tank brigade, 3,200 to the motorized infantry brigade, and 1,200 to the artillery regiment. The remaining 5,600 were assigned to supply, recon, engineering, anti-tank, signaling and staff units. Now let's take a look at the composition of the tank brigade. It consisted of 12 Panzerbefehlswagen, a command tank, 90 Panzer II, 162 Panzer III and 60 Panzer IV. Hence a total number of 324 tanks. But this was the intended composition. So let's take a look at the actual composition. These are the numbers for the 1st Panzer Division, the 1st tank division. It had 93 Panzer Is, a tank never intended for combat and only armed with machine guns, 122 Panzer IIs, a mere 26 Panzer IIIs, 56 Panzer IVs and 12 Panzerbefehlswagen, thus giving a total of 309 tanks, slightly below the intended size, but numbers without context are like politicians, quite useless and untrustworthy. So let's take a closer look. On the left side, the intended setup, with a lot of Panzer IIIs, which was back in 1939 the main battle tank of the German army. But historically those positions had to be filled with the significantly less combat effective Panzer I and Panzer II. Now a closer look on the planned organization and structure of the panzer formations. The tank brigade consisted of 2 regiments with 2 battalions each, and each of those battalions consisted of a staff company, 2 light companies and a medium company. The Stabskompanie or staff company consisted of a signaling platoon with 2 Panzerbefehlswagen and a Panzer III. Note that the Panzerbefehlswagen looks like a Panzer III, but it only had a fake gun and the turret was welded to the hull. Yet this was crucial to the performance of the German panzer units, because it provided important command and control facilities. Furthermore, the company had 1 platoon of light tanks consisting of 5 Panzer IIs. So let's take a look at the 2 light tank companies, or the Leichte Panzerkompanie. They consisted of a company section with 2 Panzer IIIs, a light tank platoon with 5 Panzer IIs and 3 platoons of 5 Panzer III each. Finally, the medium tank company or Mittlere Panzerkompanie. The company section with Panzer IVs and light platoon with Panzer IIs are almost identical to the light companies, but the 3 main platoons all consist of 4 tanks each instead of 5 tanks. These 4 companies together made up 1 battalion with 71 tanks. Thus with 4 battalions for the brigade, there's a total of 284 tanks for frontline duty. Note that this number is below the total number of tanks because some tanks were kept for reserve and command duties. This was the intended setup. The number of available Panzer IIIs was very low, thus their rows needed to be filled by other tanks like the Panzer I and Panzer II. Time to take a look at the division as a whole again. The tank brigade was supported by an infantry brigade, 90 armored cars, 48 anti-tank guns, 12 anti-air guns and 24 pieces of artillery. As you can see, this was a considerable amount of equipment. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share and subscribe. And see you next time.